What's going on, Clint? Look like you made it this time. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a good weekend. Let's see. I guess I got to get the comments turned on here so everybody can see them. All right. What's everybody got going on this weekend? I got to get these links out, so you know the drill about this time. For those that are new with us, welcome to Distilling 01 podcast. Here to hopefully answer all your questions. Yeah, I got more too, so Facebook must be fun. What's going on, Bearded Dragon? What's going on, GW? All right, let's see if we can get these links shared out there. Let me get my little list out. See if we can get at least 10, maybe more than 10. All right. Until then, welcome everybody. All right, so posting slowly, so that's not good. It's taking a while. Damn, I hope that don't take that long. It's still going. All right, finally went through. Sheesh. Yeah, it looks like it's going slowly. Must be a lot of activity on the Facebook tonight. This weekend, I guess that must have something to do with it. Right now, I can't see any comments, so those that are new and it's people that have been here a while know the drill. But for those that are new, I can't see comments yet. I got to get these links shared, and once I get them all shared, I'll be able to see everybody. So bear with me. Shouldn't take too long. Longer than it should take, though. I still want Facebook to give me a checkbox so I can just go through and check them all. But since most of us are in the same groups, I generally try to post to a diverse amount of groups, different groups. A lot of these groups don't have a lot of the same people, so I try to get as many in a diverse group as I can because I only allow 10 initially. So that's why I have to spread it out. So just bear with us. This takes about 5 minutes out of our time, so I need a shot. How about you all? I definitely need a shot. All right, let's see. Slowly posting. Man, it's taking a little longer than usual. It's slowly doing it. Hopefully that means I'll be able to do more, though. That would be nice. That would be very nice. So yeah, it's posting very slowly. That's good, I guess, though. Maybe we'll get more in. Well, we'll see. Definitely, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to jinx myself if I do. Yeah, I jinxed myself. As soon as I said something, the next one wouldn't let me share. Well, we got a little bit more shared than usual, so that's nice. So let me mark where we left off here. All right. Just keep that one open there. All right. Let me scroll back here and welcome everybody in. What's going on, Heretic? Good to see you. I like that name. What's up, C-Shine? Good to see you, brother. There's California Quake. Wait a minute. Q-Quake. You're going to have to tell me what that Q8 euphoric is. Quite euphoric? Pretty cool. We'll just call you Callie. How's that? Yeah, I got more than 10 in. I shouldn't have said anything because I was at like 13 or 14 when I said that. But I did get more than usual. Usually it's like 10 or 11. I think I got like 13 or 14 in. There's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I got 14. So that was good. I just wish they'd let me go ahead and do the 20 and be done with it. I do generally 20, 21, something like that. I don't know. I hate it. What's going on, Steven? Good to see you, brother. Maybe. Yeah, there's a lot of people on this weekend. Yeah, both coasts, east and west, brother, for sure. I need a shot. I haven't put that. Damn it, I gotta remember to put them staves in there. What's going on, Cy Young? What's going on, Curtis? Good to see you, brother. Any tips on a pickle steel? Now, I've heard of pickle shine, but I'm not familiar with the pickle steel. So, Oh, that's hillbilly. I got you. Yeah, you had me there for a minute. I'm like, wait a minute, what are we talking about? Oh yeah, Philbilly's pickle jar still. That was kind of done on a whim. That I think the premise was you had to have a copper steel to make a steel. You had to, and it's like, man, you can make a steel out of anything. And so he did that kind of, as a joke. And it's definitely not one of those that we want people to try at home. So anytime somebody brings it up, we say, that's, if the shit hits the fan and you can't find anything else to distill water or something like that to make drinkable water and fresh water, and the water you have is bad, then if you had to, you could resort to something like that. But yeah, that's not something you really want to do a lot. He kind of regrets doing that video. He's like, man, I'm just afraid somebody's gonna get hurt. And we don't want that. We don't want that jar can break and spread that mash all over things and start a fire. So yeah, it's probably not something we want people to do. But it was kind of done on it can be done. So if you had to, you know, times were tough, you could do it on that. But there's so many cheap alternatives. You can get you a beer keg and make you a still out of a beer keg, $35 beer keg, clean it out, take out the tap and the, what do they call that? I never can remember the valve system. Take that out and the ball and what do they call that? My mind. Anyway, the downcomer that goes into the keg. I never can remember that part. But yeah, just take that out and you can make it, a decent keg still. So, but yeah, that was something that was done a long time ago. That was years ago. What's going on, Cave Daddy? Good to see you. Camping in the boonies. Well, we hope you be able to, but so far so good, brother. You can't find me on DIY steel building. DIY shine and steel building is what you got to find. You got to do the DIY shine and steel building. And me and I'm an admin in there, and Clint's a moderator in there. DIY shine and steel building. And there's another one that's let me see. It's Popham Bates, and it's similar. And it is DIY copper steels and distilling. So that's Gary's. But we're all friends, and I think I'm a mod in there. But we there, brother. Kelly or Michael, that's cool. Oh, dude, Google go. All right, all right. I think quite euphoric. I mean, kind of sounds pretty cool. I mean, that's almost like quite euphoric. Quite euphoric. If anybody asks, you just tell them you're quite euphoric. Okay, I was wondering, man. I was really trying to figure what acronym we were coming up with there. What's going on, Scott? Good to see you, brother. Got the usual suspects in here. Yeah, it was done as just it can be done kind of thing. And I don't know, in shit hit the fan kind of situation, if you had to, What's going on, Candy? Good to see you. I'm doing great. How about yourself? Just 4 minutes behind. But I'll be caught up here in a minute. Spear, thank you, Clint. I never can. The spear, yeah. So you just take out that, take off the tap, take out that valve, and that ball valve, and then the spear, and it all lifts out of there. But there's like an O-ring at the top, and you have to pry it out. And there's some videos on it Phil Billy's got some videos on how to remove that properly. But you got to make sure it's pumped up and full of beer before you do. Make sure you put your face right over top of it. But yeah, because be careful. Make sure you push that ball down and make sure you got all the gas and everything pressure out of it. Because if you don't, you're gonna have a beer shower. And people learn that the hard way sometimes. So yeah, just put something over it and take a screwdriver and push down on that and release all that, or put a tap on it and open it up and try to release all that you can. Unless you like beer showers. Pressure cookers, how I got started too, Seashine. And I was pretty young. It's not too bad. Really, the pressure that you build up distilling is, about less 5 psi or less. If you have a thumper or some other things in line that create some back pressure, it can get up to 5, but it's about 3 psi. It's really, it's just forcing the steam through the tubes. Now if you have a small, like if you got a 15-gallon Vever or something like that with a flat top 3-pot, and you got a 1/2-inch line, you're going to get quite a bit more pressure, back pressure in that, because it just can't vacate all that pressure and steam, like if you had 1.5 or 2-inch, like we use with the clamps. So with the tri-clamp setups and ferrules. So you're definitely going to get some more pressure, on those. And the more pressure that you have, the harder it is to control temperature, right? Because as you increase pressure, temperature increases at the same time. So it drives it up. So it makes it a lot tougher to distill and to make cuts too when you get that a lot more pressure like that. So it's best to try to alleviate as most pressure as you can. Now that doesn't mean, on a 15-gallon pot, you need a 4-inch, 4-inch line coming off of it either, because you might not get enough pressure to make it efficient. But yeah, there's a good proportion and ratios that you really should kind of follow. But yeah, my first still was a pressure cooker, and then it was a little copper setup. Not much bigger than these little awards they make. I noticed they were giving Justin Meredith an award, and it was a small still. And when I was logging in, and it was on Master Distiller. It was like maybe a gallon and a half, 2 gallon. Yeah, it's really small. And then I'm not going to say where I got it because I took it, man. And I've always felt bad about that. I really need to replace that from the school. That's bad, man. Felt guilty about that for a long time. Still do. But yeah, after that, went to a beer keg. Had beer keg for a long time. It was cool. It was good. Yeah, it's real busy. Yeah, but yeah, you'll get it. If you're talking about Philbillies, yeah, man, he's swamped right now. He couldn't even stay 2 days at the festival. He had to get back and get busy and work on things. So he's diligently working on them to get them cranked out. So 3 weeks is turn time. That's pretty good. But yeah, you can rest assured you'll get it if you ordered it from Philbilly, though, and he'll let you know. Good to hear it. Good to hear it. I like that voted sticker. I did too. Glad we all get out to vote, because think about politics. Now we don't talk a lot about it in here, and we try not to. But I see a lot of people complain about elections and presidents, and I'm not talking about president or past, just any. And then you ask them, well, who'd you vote? Well, I don't vote. Oh, well, if you don't vote, you really don't have much room to complain. So if you're going to bitch about it, at least got to get your opinions in there and get your vote in. I encourage people to vote. I don't care how you vote. Just get out there and vote. Damn, bro. You going busy? You feeding the army over there? What? Oh, that is right. Memorial Day weekend. You must be having a bunch of people over. I had a big old steak tonight. Meyer had first time in a long time. Beef ain't been, good steaks ain't been on sale in a long time here, and they had some T-bones for $9.99 a pound. So I loaded up. Well, they had porterhouse and T-bones. Porterhouse $10.99 and T-bones $9.99, and so I loaded up on them. Now I gotta vacuum seal and freeze them. I like buying stuff like that when they get on sale, like corn and anything else, any vegetables, fruits, anything I can get. And if I can put it up, anything that's not doesn't have a short shelf life, I like to load up on. Yeah, big beer kegs are awesome, man. They make really good stills. Great beginner stills. I've used them for many years and years and years. My only issue with them back then was it was hard to clean, because I didn't have Amazon and Farrell's. This back in the 80s and 90s. I didn't have Amazon and the ability to order, 4-inch Farrell's and have somebody weld them on and 4 to 2 converters and all that, reducers. So, for me, it was a trip to the car wash to spray it out. I didn't have a pressure washer either. And so that was a little bit tough to clean, but now you can put a big old Farrell on the top and get down in there and scrub it out. But yeah, we used that keg a lot. Started out in college with it. We used it in college. And after that, there's beer kegs for many, many years. Any info on running fruit? Have a good luck with blood oranges and great flavor, but plums, grapes, no luck. Flavor is tough without adding later. Fact. Slivovitch is in grapes, they have a delicate flavor. So certain fruits have a stronger flavor and stronger carry forward than others. Peaches, for example, carry forward. Apricots carry well forward. Brandy. But some, like grapes, a lot of times it's just going to be a sweetness. It's not going to be a lot of grapey flavor like you have in your wine, which is another reason why a lot of times when I make a pretty good grape wine, I just keep the wine, because a lot of times when you distill it, all you really carry forward, and is like my grappa. All I carried forward was a really unique sweetness. It was a real, it was really sweet, unique, and everybody loved it. Drank it, man. This is like, wow, that's this. It was had such a unique sweetness to it. It's hard to kind of not a bubble gummy, but trying to think of the gum, like a juicy fruity kind of flavor. It was really, really good. But then a lot of people get bubble gums. I think a lot of that too has to do with the yeast that you use and temperatures that it ferments and how it's handled and how many times it's distilled. But yeah, a lot of times you'll just get a sweet notes instead of just regular notes. So yeast has an impact on it. So trying to experiment with different yeast to get some more floral notes and some like an EC 1118 is generally a neutral, which means a lot of the flavors and stuff from whatever you're fermenting can carry forward, and some provide some flavor where it might actually mask some. So experimenting with different yeasts will also help. But yeah, it's really tough. That's why I say, you've made a successful brandy if you can tell what fruit it was made with. So if you can drink it and say, oh, that's a good peach, or oh, it tastes like apricots or pears or whatever, or apple, then if you can taste that fruit in it, then you've made a good brandy. And it's tough. It's tough to do. That's why using the triple jar infusers or jar infusions or infusers, period, really help a lot. And it helps it reintroduce that flavor to the vapor path and get condensed along with it than what's just distilled off. The distillation process removes a lot of impurities. That's why we distill water to get pure water. And when we distill a brandy, we're getting mostly the alcohol off and not so much of anything else. And it's, producing a clean thing. And it's trying to eliminate a lot of those other things. So we have to try to, kind of upset the, and kind of break the distillation process and create flavors. So the infusers help a lot. Those infusers or post flavoring. If you don't mind a post flavored drink, which more people these days, don't mind it. Back in the day, it was just unheard of and heresy. But these days it's common, and you can really pull some good flavors that way. By just post flavoring and get the good flavored sweetness that you want. And it's not if you just want something good to drink, then you can post flavor. If it's a distilling challenge, then you're going to have to try to push yourself to get the best and use infusion and other techniques to get that. But it's tough, without the infusions. It's really tough to get. Again, with certain fruits, it's a lot more tough. So and fruits aren't easy. That's one of the reasons I generally, if it comes out as a good wine, it's going to get bottled as that and put in the racks. Going on, Gary? Good to see you, brother. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you, brother. I try to be. Sometimes I'm not, man. Sometimes people get the devil out of me, but I try to be good. It's not. Make it adjustable. You need an adjustable one. Like the old pressure cookers. You don't want steam coming out, right? Just spinning it like on the pressure cookers. But maybe a 10 psi one. That way, if you get up to 5, you're not just going to blow off some things, because you might want to run a thumper or something like that. So I'd say a 10 psi, which is very nominal. I think pressure canners and cookers go up to 15, 20. And it's crazy, but a lot of the ferrules and stuff that we use are designed to handle 300. So you definitely don't want that. That's a bomb. But yeah, it's not overkill, but I would definitely go with the 10 psi, pressure relief. Yeah. Did pineapple scrap wash, just the peel, cores, 7 pineapples, 4 pounds of sugar, and 5 gallons of beverage. Cool. Sounds good, man. Now it'll come out a little hotter. That's kind of like doing strawberries as well, where it really requires a lot of sugar to go along with it. So it tends to be a little bit hotter, but it's a lot better than just like a sugar shine, right? Which I've done a lot of those too. Whatever it takes sometimes. Oh, I need to. Oh, whatever it takes. Sometimes you just don't want to grind up grain. Sometimes you don't want to, clean up a lot of fruit, especially if nothing's on sale. So sometimes you just gotta, run a little sugar and get her done. Make some liquor. But if you run it through a few times, it'll take some of that hotness out of it. But adding fruit like that to it gives it a lot of character, and it's not just like your same old sugar wash, So there's nothing wrong with that for sure. I'm glad it came out well. What's going on, Frank? Good to see you, brother. Hey, not much, man. Trying to stay in trouble. What's going on, Stephen? Now, I'm old bad Santa, old hillbilly. Hey, I am a hillbilly, though. I'll answer to that. It's funny that a lot of these AI things that kind of censor in some of the software and stuff, it considers hillbilly a slur. So it's like, man, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm proud of a hillbilly, and I think most hillbillies, if you ask them, they'll say they're proud of it. It's like rednecks, you know. So yeah, I'll happily take that term. Hell yeah, it's awesome, man. Now you got a good deal on it too. Weller Special. Weller's one of my favorites, man. Matter of fact, I just finished this old jar not too long ago. Does that look fish? Does that look familiar? Yeah, I like me some Wellers. Yeah, I just finished that. Well, it's been too long ago, really. I need to get some more. Yeah, I like me some Wellers, brother. Excellent choice. Excellent choice. You're welcome. What's going on, Elvin? Good to see you, brother. I'm in the Northeast. June is black cherry season. Awesome. And I plan to gather lots of local old growth grows. Awesome. All right. You'll probably need some with grapes, but you're not going to need a whole lot. And it really depends on what you want to shoot for, Elvin. If you want to sneak a little bit of sugar in there and try to stretch it and get more product than you can, and it depends on gravity and really the sweetness of the grapes. But let me get my recipe book. Hold on just a second. All right, let me go through these real quick and see what we got here. Cherry. I make a pretty good cherry blend. So. Oh, for the pineapples, as far as pineapples go, I just want to note I had on here 25 pounds of pineapples pureed. Now, this is just the best part of the fruit, not the outer part, which I also use for the wild yeast on it, but 2.5 once it's pureed. That's pretty interesting. Let me find my cherry here. I think this is it. I don't know, that's my plum one. Strawberry. Man, shit. Somebody asked me not long ago about that, and I'm not seeing my cherry wine recipe. I think about had it written down on something like that, and it's falling out of here, and I can't even read that. Yeah, that's cherry. Okay, yeah. 15. All right, let's see here. Let me do a little conversion. Okay, so let me do my math here. So that's about 4 pounds per gallon. Let's see what this chart shows here. Damn, that's taking a long time to come up. We'll pull this one up too. Look at it. It'll give us an idea how much sugars are in cherries. Should be kind of in the middle here. Yeah, 8 grams per every 100 gram. That gives you. It's about in the middle of the scale. But let me find the chart here. Is this it? So fine, I can't even read it. Yeah, so cherries 3 to 4, and sweet cherries like 6 to 7 per gallon. Mine it did use sugar, because cherries were expensive, so you can cut back on the sugar. So I used, I used about a pound per gallon with mine. So yeah, mine had a pound of sugar per gallon with 4, I think. 4 pounds per gallon. But that's me paying $1.99 a pound for them, and that's when they were on sale. But yeah, I would say I'd say 6. If they're sweet cherries, 6. And it also talks about amylase, which I found is interesting. So some of these fruits actually contain some starch. Now I'm assuming pretty interesting. But I've never really seen anybody use amylase on fruits. It's usually the fructose that you're getting, and you really don't need to break down fructose because it's a pretty much a monosaccharide as itself. It's kind of like a glucose. So, but I guess there's some starches in the actual fruit that it itself, but I've never seen anybody actually use it. That people don't. I'm assuming because of this chart that they do. But I'd say 6 pounds per gallon would be a pretty good place to start, and just use your hydrometer, and that'll tell you basically how much sugar that you have in these cherries, and then you can adjust, or how much fructose that you have in these cherries, and then you can adjust with some sugar if you need to. But black cherries, are those considered sweet or tart? And yeah, you'll definitely need to feed the yeast as well. Yeah, there's not enough yan and fan in there for the yeast, so you'll definitely want. But really, you want to not overfeed. I think that's probably one of the biggest problems people have with using yeast nutrients. They say, "Oh, I get a bad flavor." It's because they're probably overusing it, because it really takes just a tiny teaspoon or whatever, depending on how much, of course, your mash is, but it takes very, very little of this stuff. And I think most people think more is better, so they end up overdoing it. And also step feeding, instead of feeding it all at once, they're finding out that, adding some nutrients as it goes is a benefit. So, but that's also, something that you'll have to consider as well. But adding just a little bit, and over a couple few days, little by little, and slowly feeding your yeast instead of shocking them all at once and then starving them later. So maybe, but also have to concern yourself about reintroducing oxygen. So when you add it, so I do it for the first couple few days, and then after that, just let it go. Yeah. And two, keep some of that wine to the side, because, cherry makes a really good wine. One of my first wines that I made was cherry wine, and man, it was fantastic. Everybody loved it. Makes really good wine. And then when you distill it, it's like, nah, it's okay. Didn't get a lot of cherry carry, but yeah, it was really good wine. See, propane. Yeah, you got that big banjo burner. It's hands on wheat and barley and corn. What amount of ingredients do you recommend for a keg still? 15 and a half gallons. Okay, so first of all, you'll probably want to run about 13, but you want to make probably 16, mash. That way you allow for absorption and evaporation as it works off. But the ratio, that's 100% up to you, brother. I mean, there's been so many different um, ratios, and do you want something really sweet? What character do you want to carry forward? Wheat, barley, corn. Uh, that with a little oats is one of my favorite combos. But I've got a on file here. Let me see if I don't know if it'll allow me to. Yeah, show my PDF here. Right, here we go. I don't know if you can see this or not. Let me remove this and remove your comment here. And you can see we've got some shows ratios here. And now let me enlarge it on mine as well. Let me go full screen here so I can see it. Yeah, that's a little better. So you can see Buffalo Trace is like 75% corn, 10% rye, 15% barley. You can see that the Weller, like we were talking about earlier, 70, 16, 14, wheat and barley, no rye. So, it's up to you, so there's no set percentages. It's just a preference. If you prefer a sweeter, wheated type bourbon, then of course you're going to want to. Let me go to the next chart here, and you can find this chart on DIY Shine and Steel Building, and in the Moonshine Militia. And I will give you the file name here in just a little bit. But here's some more like Booker's. It's got the rye. Old Granddad, pretty heavy rye. Uh, Four Roses. You can see a lot of different combinations here. Let's see. And I'd say a lot of this is going to be a malted. Woodford Reserve 72, 18, 10. Well, 72, 18, 10. So, you're going to get a lot of different makers, is more of a sweet, weedy. So there's not going to be any rye in your makers. More of a weeded. So that's basically, the grain bills for a lot of your favorite liquors. And yeah, it's if you want that file, we've got it there. And if you look at the bottom of the page, DIY Shine and Steel Building or the Moonshine Militia on Facebook, and you can go into the file section and you can pull this down, and a lot of other good files there too, how-tos and some recipes. Trying to get more recipes up, but it's slow. It takes a while. And let me put comments back up, chat back up. But yeah, so there's no set. They are sweet, cool. Yeah, EC11 and 18 and pectin will be, pectic enzyme, not pectin, but pectin is you get that at the store as well, and that's used to make jelly. So that's that makes it gel up and make a jelly. So what we're trying to do is eliminate the pectins that are naturally in there, and use the pectic enzymes that actually break down the pectin. So a little bit, not as much as normal called for. Grapes, you're going to get some good use out of it. So definitely, like in blackberry, raspberry. No, I don't use a lot of pectic enzymes in those, because each tiny little microberry, once you bust that, that's it. There's not a lot of pulp fruit, meat in them. But anything that's got meat, like a grape or a cherry or a peach or an apple, yeah, you want to use pectic enzymes to help break those down so we can get all the juice and sugars out that we can. It does increase the heads a little bit, but it's worth it. Yeah, man, that sounds good. I'm waiting for cherries to go back on sale so I can load up. They're pretty expensive, but maybe if they do have a really good bumper crop this year, they'll have them on sale. But yeah, nutrients. Now nutrients can be pretty simple. You can just use basically yeast holes, which is dead yeast. You can boil up bread yeast and kill it and add that. Um, Diammonium phosphate, a lot of people don't like because I think they tend to overuse it. And I think people see urea, and that's mostly used in in the fertilizer type. But it's usually a food grade urea, and I don't know. People are skeptical about the sources of it, and it's um, it's a liver byproduct. And a lot of people think, oh, it comes from pee. No, there's urea in pee because it's coming from your body and it's getting flushed out by your liver. But urea is not the same thing. It is in urine, and a lot of people that kind of grosses them out. But they'll eat a potato that's or a tomato or something that's got horse shit as fertilizer too. So they don't really think about that. But yeah, urea is it's an element of the urine because it's getting flushed out of your body from your liver, but that doesn't mean you're drinking pee, right? It's just another chemical. There's a lot of water in pee. You're going to give up drinking water, you know. So a lot of people, when they see that urea, they're like, "Oh no, I'm not drinking piss." It's chemistry. Once you understand chemistry, it's not the same. It's just something getting flushed out of your body. Yeah, 1 pound of sugar. Yeah, that's what. Well, I used it with mine. If you can get enough of your sugars naturally, if you have something sweet, that's kind of at the top of this chart, you know, yeah, like in grapes, with just your grapes, it's a lot better chance of getting, just your sweetness from grapes, like I try to do when I can get them on sale. And not, I'll use a little bit of grape juice with it to stretch it, but I don't use hardly any sugars. But, cherries is way down the line here. Even the sweet cherries, even that list said you use more sweet than tart because of, and I guess with the tart ones, there's some starches and they're using enzymes with it. I've never seen that, but, and I don't think they're talking about pectic enzymes either. Maybe what they're talking about there. Let me pull that chart up and see if it specifies. Amylase. It's just no amylase. Not saying anything about pectic enzymes. So I'll have to do some research on that. But yeah, I use about 1 pound and with my cherries. And again, if you can get enough to where you don't need any and just use the cherry juice and just bump it up a little bit to get your gravity, you just use your hydrometer. A lot of people want recipes for things, and that's what that hydrometer does. It will allow you to make a recipe. So you can start with a lesser amount of water and a higher amount of fruit and use that hydrometer, and if you're getting if it's high, then you can add some water to kind of, bring it down some. That's usually not a problem. But if you're getting something that's naturally, sweeter than you need, then you can add a little bit of water. Or if you're using it with, you're adding it to water and you say, oh, that's a little bit low, then next time you need to use more concentrate. And using juice concentrates help as well. So those frozen concentrates, those help pull a lot more flavor and help sweeten things up as well, and concentrate the flavors. So yeah, yeah, I know, man. That's why that's why I have to wait for things to go on sale. It's it gets expensive. Patty's late again. Tardy, brother. We'll have to have a drink. Absolutely, Greg. Anytime, brother. Any questions you got, man, bring it in here and we'll definitely enjoy talking about it and helping out any way we can. I know, damn science always gets in the way of shit. Math does too. Urea's in fish blood. Yeah, I mean it's in our liver. I mean it's just a byproduct of the body that happens to get flushed out, in our urine. Yep. I do like that science. I've always been somebody that has to know what makes things tick. So as a kid, I took things apart just to see what made it work, and tore up a lot of shit. Drove my dad crazy, tearing up everything. So he started bringing home stuff broken for me to fix. Here, to see if you can get this working. Keep me out of the other stuff that did work. Anytime, brother. That's what we're here for. That's awesome, and that's a great success story for us both. It's you've taken what we've talked about, and you've learned and applied what you've learned, and learned some more, and now you have experience, and that's the best teacher is getting experience. But we try to help people over the bumps, because it can be frustrating at first. If when I first did it, I had no guidance at all. Just a Foxfire book and a very, very simple recipe, thin mash, cornmeal, sugar, water, yeast, things have gotten quite a bit better since then, a few scorched runs, and learned every run. But, we try to take, it's a very fun hobby. And for a lot of people, when they get in the hobby, and they don't get help, they don't seek help, which is good. A lot of people have to learn on their own. And I'm one of those people. And you learn from mistakes, and we try to help avoid some of those costly mistakes, especially when you start talking about $1.99, $3.99 for a lot of the fruits and stuff that we want to do. So it can get very expensive. That's why we kind of start out cheap with just a sugar wash, or actually the cheapest is a grape conversion, but a grain conversion, but it's a little bit more of a study, a little bit more experience needed to do the conversion and get good conversion. So generally you start people on just a sugar wash or a flavored sugar wash. And that's kind of like my thin mash was. It's a very good beginner. And I did it for a lot of years. There was a lot of shiners that did it then and probably still do, and make perfectly decent corn liquor. Is it the best? Absolutely not. Will it fit the bill? Will it get you drunk? And is it, safe and good? Sure. But yeah, we definitely like to take some of the bumps out of the hobbies, because a lot of people get frustrated. They do a few runs. They've got good money invested into the equipment and the mash and everything. And they start getting frustrated, and they're like, fuck it. This ain't for me, and they quit. So we want people to enjoy the hobby and get past some of those obstacles and bumps, and make it more enjoyable, because it is an awesome hobby. Most people that do it, everybody that does it pretty much, like, man, I didn't realize how cool and much fun this would be, man, and how easy it was, when I teach some people how to make wines, and stuff, and family and other people. They're like, I had no idea it was this easy. And it's like, I didn't either until I did it. I thought, and I was always concerned about, bacteria and getting sick and all these things. And there are some concerns and some things you can do to help alleviate those issues. And that's another thing that we try to do, is make it safe for everybody. So we, put safety first. And that's another part of the hobby itself, is learning, when you're running, don't get drunk, and keep an eye on things. Don't get on Facebook and start, or, the next thing you do, your jar's overfilling, you've started a fire. Don't go out and smoke while you got it going in the garage, right, Phil? Or you might come back to a big fire in your garage. So, we all learn, and we just want to try to eliminate any kind of issues or any problems. What's your personal fruit, whatever, when making? For me, I mean, I've done it with so many different fruits. I do like the plum wine; makes a good plum brandy and plum wine. I do love the white grapes. That's what I make my sweet heat and my grappa with, and that's probably my best and my favorite. Um, it's really good stuff. It's just it's got such a unique sweetness to it. It's really good. But I like peach, and apricots. All those carry forward well. Apple, okay, good. Watermelon, not so good. I'm not. I've had good experiences with watermelon, so I kind of stay away from that. They were kind of expensive, very watery, not much sugars in it, natural sugars. If I could cook it off like they do the maple syrup, then maybe I could create some watermelon concentrates, and that might work a little better. It was hot when I fermented my watermelons, and they fermented it, probably about 85 degrees, so that wasn't good either. I would say, with your watermelons, a cooler, longer fermentation would be definitely optimal. And I tried three different types of varieties of watermelon, and the dark green round ones, the seedless variety, the dark green that's not like the variegated with two different greens and look like camo on the outside. These were just the solid dark green ones. Those do the best. So, little hint there. That'll be cool. Yeah, 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 definitely. Wheat malt, barley malt, rye malt, even. But yeah, you can extract the malt from it. I would just, a lot of beer makers um, basically cook and then distill or ferment off grain. I would, I don't know. From my personal preferences, is you get more flavor on grain, but that's going to probably affect your clarity of your beer, of your haze. You don't want to haze protein hazes and all that. So you probably ask JJ on that. He's the resident beer master. I didn't make a lot of beer. I never was a big beer fan. Most of the beers I made got distilled, or all pretty much all of them got distilled. I'd take a little sip and drink of them from time to time, but yeah, but there are some concerns with beer clarity, right, and having that haze, and I think that's one of the reasons that they, pull it off the grain and get a lighter flavor. But yeah, yeah, you can definitely get some malt out of the wheat for sure. Actually, it's got more diastatic than barley. A good malted wheat will. No problem, brother. That's right. Banana, man, that makes some good rum. I saw somebody post on there. I guess they did a banana with just regular sugar, and they were getting a chemically taste. And I think they were fairly new at it, and they were saying acetone. So if you're listening, I think you might need to work on the cuts, and maybe redistill and work on your cuts. Diastatic power. That's the power of abilities of the enzymes in it to convert. So the higher diastatic power, the more alpha and beta amylase that the grain is going to have that will enable it to convert more corn or other adjunct grains. Awesome. Chocolate bread pudding shine. Now that'd be interesting. Yeah, any kind of fruits that you can salvage is great. Anything with starches that you can do is works out well. But if you got to convert your starches, so you have to add amylase to break the starches down to turn them into fermentable sugars. But hell yeah, man. There's JJ. What's going on, John? Like this is a different JJ. What's going on, brother? Oh yeah, it is after 9. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, I get to. I'll wait till about remind me again in about 10 minutes if I forget. I want to make sure that I have the time because it's by the time I got done sharing them because they were so slow, it was like 9:11 or 8:11, 8:13. So I have to give it at least an hour. So yeah, they're pretty strict. You didn't brew with wheat? Well, just barley. Well, wheat and barley are very similar. So you're going to do the same things with wheat that you will with the barley. It's just a different grain, you know. What's going on, Scott? Good to see you, brother. Yeah. Yeah, I like my bananas with the brown sugar and making the rum instead of just a true brandy with it with the regular sugar. Um, Definitely a more rummy, dark, grungy flavor, but yeah, I definitely prefer it. I've done both, and I definitely like the brown sugar. Are you out of here, Seashine? Hey, anytime, brother. Jump in here Tuesdays and Saturdays. We're here, man. Hang out with us and bring you success stories, man. Tell us what's going on. Well, you seem, in talking with you and hearing you speak about it, you seem to know a lot more about beers, than I do. And I don't know a lot of beer makers. So if we got other beer makers in here, let it be known because that's you can definitely help out a little bit. I mean, I know the basics of it, and I know the fundamentals of beer making and stuff, and I've seen it done and all that. It's just not something that I've done a lot, or actually, I made a lot of beers, but it was to be distilled, right? I mean, when you make a grain mash, you're essentially making a beer. Just because it doesn't have hops doesn't make it not a beer. So you're making a beer basically, but not to be drunk and consumed as such. Now I've drank a little bit of mash in my life and taste it. A lot of people are really weary about tasting their mash, and but yeah, I've tasted a few and it's okay, but I'm just not. I don't ever profess to be a beer maker, and I don't want to come across as having any knowledge or authority on that because it's just not my forte. What's going on, Iris? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, happy Memorial Day weekend, everybody. Hope everybody has a good time and safe time, man. These roads are pretty busy right now. What's going on, Mr. Claus? How you doing, man? Yeah. Jimmy Red and Winter Red. Man, that wheat's hard though. It's a lot harder than a barley, so it doesn't mill quite as easily. Yeah, and that's something new to a lot of beer makers, and something that's being done a little bit more now than used to in beer making is the addition of beer of I'm sorry of corn in beer. It's just a little different, than the traditional beers of the past. But and as you step mash, you could probably do your corn first and separate, and then step your beer mash up because most of your beer makers step forward, and us corn, mashers start with corn hot temperatures and work down the scale in temperatures. A lot of your beer makers will start cooler temperatures and work up with certain rest periods for sophistication and for protein rests and other rests that you need to take to get good clarity and good flavored beer. So you have to kind of combine the two knowledges to do it. But yeah, So probably best to do your corn first and separate, and then add that to your beer once you get your beer stepped forward and get to 150. Once you get to that point, then you can add your converted corn if you want to do that. If you want, but really, beer makers get such a lower content of alcohol. They're not really shooting for a high ABV. They're mostly going for flavor, and 6% is fine for a beer you maker. A lot of your beers have even less. So that's their goal isn't to create a lot of alcohol, is to create a lot of flavor. Doing good, buddy. Doing good. Yeah, they a lot of some of these little T500s and the digi boils and all that. They come up with they have the sparge pipes and all that and everything kind of built into it. So they're kind of originally, I think, designed for beer making, but you can also distill with it once you put a different cap or hood on top of it. So and they make them. I think Phil Billy makes them, and Appalachian makes them. I'm pretty sure Wayne can make them as well. I'm sure there's several out there that can do that. And you just have to give them your dimensions and what you have. But they make caps to go on top, of these Digiboils and T500s and those. And that way you can use them to distill in as well as make your beer in. So it makes a good combo for those that want to make beer and distill. That's a pretty good unit to get. Hey Marie, how you doing? Good to see you. I hope you're having a good weekend, and hope you have a good Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, I should probably spend more time on learning to do more about beers so I can at least help. I've never been a big beer drinker until I went overseas. I went overseas and drank beer, and I love the dark beers. So maybe if I could figure out how to do a good stout dark beer, I'd probably be more into it. But like just the weak American blonde beers, it's just to me they just don't have that kind of flavor, character, and alcohol content. To be honest, that I like. I did drink a lot of beer with my buddies growing up, and that was just kind of the thing we did during the week. Because didn't want to get drunk every day. But dude, did you boil make lids for them too now? Cool. I know they got also an extension for those, so you can add an extension onto the side and it just clamps in, so you can increase the volume that they do. I thought that was pretty cool, but yeah, I guess good to see they got the hoods now too. They've wisened up. Before hops was farmed, yarrow was used in the old world. Cool. Good to know. See, you know more about it than I do, man. So you can get at it, and you and JJ both can be our resident brewmasters. Maybe you can help me when I do mine, if I ever do it. I've just never. Is it painkiller? That's interesting. Just never did drink. Like a lot of beer. Most of my beer, I drink a lot of Boilermakers. I really like those. Uh, Having a blast working around the old farm, enjoying the sippy sip. That's awesome. Little dandelion, elderberry, and 13 fruit. Man, that sounds awesome. I'm a little bit jelly. That sounds really good. Yeah, I like elderberry, man. It goes with pairs well with so many things. It's good alone, but it's great with blackberry and cherry. And cheers. A little sippy sip. I'm gonna drink all this before I get any wood on it. I'm making myself a note, man. Oh yeah. Speaking of, no, that's not time yet. Damn it. Almost. I reminded myself. Gotta get those links out. Oh, and you just said that. That's funny. I'm the same way, Cape Daddy. I drank a lot of beer, and I could drink it, and that sounds kind of gross too. I was foaming it in the mouth like I had rabies or something. And I could be spitting up foam, and I just never got drunk on beer because I drank so much red liquor and moonshine. But yeah, we drank it, and just something to do until we hit the weekend when we get really sloppy drunk and silly. But it just never did. Now wine, I never drank a lot of wine. We drank at Boone's Farm and Tickle Pink, and all the different flavors because the gals liked it, and if that's what they wanted to drink, that's what we drank, right? But never was a big fan of the blonde beers. But I did like the dark beers. Then drank them warm even, but they just had so much more flavor. It was a flavorful drink, and I really liked the difference. It was a much better drink. Not really sure why they've never caught. Maybe I guess primary reasons those never caught on in the United States was because a long time we had a percent limit on how much beer could be. I think like 6-8% was the highest it could be, and then I think for some areas they had 3.2 beer, which 3.2 was the maximum, and I think some of those states, you could drink beer at 18, but it was 3.2% beer. But they also sold liquor, so that's the point, right? But yeah. Best way to make strawberry moonshine. Yeah, it's let me push this chart up here. Strawberries do not have a lot of fruit or a lot of sugars in them. Less than a grapefruit, actually. A lot of people don't realize that, but there's very little sugar in a strawberry, which is why most strawberry moonshines tend to be a little bit hotter, is because you have to add a lot of sugar to them. To get that gravity that you need to make it productive and to make a decent mash or a must. So let me get my strawberry recipe. I think it's near the top. Let's see. I know I saw it in here. That's my apple. No, that's my plum. All right. So this is calling for 5. Let's see what this chart says for strawberries. Yeah, 3.5 to 5. My recipe calls for 5, so that's about right. 5 pounds per gallon. And I guess you could go higher than that, but again, you're not going to get a lot of sugars out of them. Use your hydrometer. Once you puree up the strawberries, 5 pounds for every gallon of water. Puree them up, mix them, shred it. I mean, you want to get them busted up. You can also freeze them. It's a good thing to freeze them. Strawberries, another thing I use pectic enzymes with because it's a meaty fruit. But you can freeze them and help break that up. And what happens when you put them in the sugar, because they have a high water content, the water, when water freezes, ice, when it freezes, it enlarges, right? And like the ice does in the ice trays, it gets bigger. Well, that most things don't. Most things get smaller when they freeze, but ice doesn't, or water doesn't. But put them in the freezer, and freezing them will help do some of the same work that a pectic enzyme does. It helps break those open and all those cells open. And so freezing them, definitely prep them in the freezer. And then they get mushy. So it's horrible for, jelly making or for, any kind of fruit making, or that what you want to use it for like strawberry shortcakes or something like that. You never want to use frozen strawberries, but it makes them mushy. It gives them a horrible consistency, but it's great for what we do because it just gives us a head start. Um, so freeze them, bust them up, and then add them to the water, and then you're going to have to, add probably about a pound, pound and a half of sugar per gallon because they just don't have enough sugar in them. So, and they'll be a little bit hot, but making a strawberry wine is a little different. And if you do the wine, you could probably go with a little bit more and less sugars, and try to use an inverted sugar like with wines. I like inverted sugar with my wines. It makes things sweeter. It ferments a little better and cleaner. Um, and adds a unique, little bitter sweetness to them. But they do make really good wine. But I will say, stop fermentation because if you don't, it'll get really dry. It'll get really, really dry, especially if you go with a higher fruit content, less sugar. Um, and you want it sweetness, you can always back sweeten it after you add the potassium metabisulfate or the potassium sorbate to stop the fermentation process. Back sweeten it a little bit after that, and you can make some really good wine. But it makes a decent shine, but it tends to be a little on the hot side, as do most of the fruits that are at the bottom of this chart here. Most from probably blackberry and cherry on down, they all tend to be a little on the hot side. Even my plums, kind of do, get a little bit on the hot side. But after they age for a while, jar age for a while, it gets a little better. Blackberry cobbler with lemon tea. That sounds good. Yeah, man, we drank a lot of Boone's Farm, man. It was good stuff. I grew up in a dry area until I was 18, of course, or no, it was like maybe 21. Right? I think right as the age that I was able to drink, we went wet. Like, man, that's just like when we went on or spring break, for seniors. We went, Florida used to have the 3-2 beer law. It used to be 18. And you can check this on Google, man. At 1981, when I graduated, they went to 21, 80 or 81. They went to 21 right when it was my turn to go down there on spring break and have fun. But that didn't stop us, but still. But yeah, I used to have 18 years old, could get the 3-2 beer. Pretty interesting. Really, a lot of people like that. That's one of the most popular ones here, too. Is it made up there in Pennsylvania? A lot of people like that beer. That's become one of the most popular beers, man. It was, 20 years, 30 years ago, you never heard of it. But now, man, it's a very popular. I'm going to pull up my Pottsville, Pennsylvania, America's oldest operating brewing company. How in the hell do I never hear about this? I never heard of Yuengling. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but I never even heard of that until maybe 20 some years ago. Maybe they just didn't branch out or something. But seeing that it's one of the oldest operating brewing company, that's crazy. And they do have a dark beer, a porter and premium. I've never heard of porter beer. I need to learn more about beer. So they also make it in Tampa, Florida now. They've got a brewery down there. But yeah, Pottsville and Schuylkill Haven, Pennsylvania. I don't know. I just butchered that word too. Interesting. All right, let me get the rest of these links out. All right, let's see. Where was I? Okay, I marked it. Shouldn't take but a sec. Yeah, I need to learn more about beer making. Yeah, I waited long enough. Good deal. Just a second. Shouldn't take long at all before they cut me off again. Yeah, I should be able to get the rest of these out. And again, some of these that I share late to, most people watch this on. Most people that are in the groups frequent, they know when it's around, but most of the people that watch it, they catch it later, and that's great. Love to have you here live, but good to have you here either way. If you're just listening to it going on the way to work, if you're listening now on the way to work, be careful. But yeah, a lot of people listen to it on their lunch breaks or at their leisure, later in the week, which is great. I'm just glad to have them. If you have any questions, you got to get here live or jump in the DIY group and you can ask there. Find this last one. This last one, I don't know. It's I don't know if it's a food channel or a moonshine channel. I've seen probably as much food recipes and mixed conversation in that as about anything I've seen. It's just fine, I don't. But I've seen a lot of interesting stuff. The staff of life. I don't know. 7 a case. Juries. Let me think of the one that we drank a lot of. It actually came in, this is going to show my age, but this came in bottles that we could return and get like when you get a beer keg, you put a deposit down, and when you return it, you get your deposit back. Well, it was the same with these cases of beer, and you returned it, and it was Drummond Brothers, yeah, and you could return it, and you could get return the bottles, and you could get your discount, so you didn't have to pay the deposit every time. But it's so nice. It was served in the case in a wood box with a sliding top. And it was cheap as hell, and it was a cool ass box. I've got some. I think I still have at least one of those around here somewhere. But yeah, it was. That was back in the late 70s, early 80s. Oh yeah, we drank a lot of Mickey's. That was in like a green bottle, wasn't it? If I remember correctly, kind of like a Heineken. Yeah, green glass. Yeah. Yeah, and it had a big old mouth. Yeah, you cut your lips and everything else on it. Yeah, boy, that's good. Like your lawn darts, wasn't it? But yeah, you can get a good handle on those, man, when you're throwing up signs. That's what we do on the way back. We'd go buy the beer. We had to go to the Breaks Interstate Park, the Snake Pit, to buy it because they just wanted to buy it at the bootleggers, and it was just too expensive. So we just drove to the Breaks and bought it at the store. And then on the way back, we drink beer and throw it through the sunroof and out the windows and hit the signs all the way home. Now, yeah, don't do that these days. I'm not saying that's something you should do for all the young ones out there listening. Yeah, I remember that, Clint. Yeah, they were like little grenades, man. They just fit perfectly in your hand to throw right at those signs on the way out, man. Yeah, we loved hitting the signs, man. We didn't do mailboxes though. They didn't want to destroy anybody's personal property, but I know they do a lot these days. But yeah, banging those signs was, and we like the little ponies too. We drank the little pony beers so we could have more bottles to throw at the signs. That was our big thing. But yeah, I really like the dark beers, man. I wish I knew exactly what I was drinking over there. It's probably just a house beer, um, but it was really good. Good dark German, French, and German beer. Yeah, we do. And I was thinking about that this past week. I mashed in about 90 pounds of potatoes. I got some potatoes on sale. They were $1 a pound, or I'm sorry, 20 cents a pound, $1 for a 5 pound bag. So that's time to drop the hammer on some vodka. So I got some old vodka mashed up, and it's about 4.5 pounds. I did 4.5 pounds per gallon, and I got a 103.0 gravity, and I thought that was a little bit low, but I did went online and checked and did my research, and so for my research, a 1.026 to a 1.032 is basically what you'd expect when you do 4.5 pounds per gallon. So I got a good conversion. I wasn't sure if my conversion was complete. Um, 'Cause the last time I did them, I did a lot of sweet potatoes too, and that changes things up. But 4.5 pounds got me 103.0, so I bumped it up with some sugar, so that it should work out well. Didn't look at my chart though. Let's see. This is mostly fruit, so I'm not sure if it'll have a. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna have a potato on here. Yeah, potatoes. 6 to 8. I should have referred to this, and I would have known that I needed 8 pounds. It takes a lot more potatoes than what you think. Yeah, I should have used more, but it seemed like a lot, man. I mean, and it's a lot to boil up. It's a lot of work, man, for somebody that. And I had to do it in two different batches, of course, because 10 pounds of or 10 gallons of water plus 45 pounds will put about that much gap at the top of my 18.5 gallon beaver, which I also use a cook pot. So I didn't break out the big 30. I didn't want to go outside and do all this shit and open up the propane and all that. So I did it on the stove in my beaver and cooked it in two different batches. And it takes a long time. It takes longer to cook the potatoes and mash them up and get them in the pot than it does to distill them. Let's just put it that way. A lot longer, twice as long, more than twice. Beers in the food group. I'm just not a big beer drinker. I don't mind a beer, but it's just never been, I don't keep it. If I did, I probably use it in more cheese and bread making than I do just drinking it. That's right. That's right. You can do anything, man. You got that liquid courage in you. Mm. Thanks, Cave Daddy. I forgot about that, brother. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, I just I quartered them up. Well, I did more than quarter them. I cut them up. I tell you what I'm gonna get, Scott. Um, I saw this guy, and it might have been Gary or somebody. Anyway, who was it that bought one of these ice shavers off Amazon? And the first time I saw it, I think they posted in the Moonshine Militia. They were putting apples in it, putting apples in it. Man, it was shredding these apples like nobody's business, man. And it was so efficient. I've seen people use, disposals and everything else to do it. Those tend to get hot, but this ice shaver, it went through those apples like they were nothing in it, and it mulched them perfectly. So I think I'm gonna. Oh, tonight's chart is more of the Joe Schwishstock and Derek Thompson combo. That's gonna get gonna add some wood to it here before long. I keep saying that, but I forget. But it's really good. It's one of it's a 3 grain, and I think the other's a 5 grain. So yeah, it's really good. Good multi-grain liquor. But I need to get that on some wood, and I got a little bit of peach here. I'll probably mine a little peach. I'll drink some of that too, so I can conserve enough of that to get put on oak. But hopefully, I can get a pretty decent vodka out of this potato. But anyway, I think I'm gonna get me one of those shavers because you know dicing up these potatoes, and I was like, man, this. I wish I had one of those shavers. That was such a good idea, man. I'm so glad that they shared that video. Hell yeah, man! For not just apples, hellbilly. That some bitch it'll cut up anything, man. Pears. I mean, I don't know grapes. I'm still gonna have to stomp because I want to be able to get them skins out. But I really wished I had it for them taters because it would have minced meat out of those things, man. Just I mean, it just went through it so quickly, and I mean, I think I'd get enjoyment out of just doing that, man. Hell yeah, man. It's very efficient. And they're like 30, $40. They're not real expensive. But the one, want to make sure you get one that's pretty sturdy built. And his was, I think I asked him, and I think he told me he got it maybe from Timu or some different place. It might not have been Amazon, but I looked them up on Amazon. They had them for like 20, $30, 30, $40, 29, 39 maybe. That's right. Shoe shine, moonshine, and all's fine. Well, you put that video on there, Frank? Somebody posted a video. I'm trying to think who it was. It might have been Frank. Somebody put that up, man, and man, that thing was awesome. I never really thought about that, but I'm getting one. You better bet your ass I'm getting one. I was thinking about how I'm going to incorporate it into maybe one of the lids on my mash barrels. That way I can just and maybe putting a little. It did need a little bit bigger of a funnel hopper to go on the top. It was just basically, I guess you feed in the ice cubes and shave the ice, so it didn't need a big hopper. But don't like vodka. Well, it's a good clean spirit. I like vodka. I'm trying to think of some sort of liquor product that I don't like. Might take a while. I don't know. I didn't like my watermelon brandy. Aside from that, was it you, Frank, that put that on there? Man, I love that video, man. I've thought about that. I'm definitely going to get one. I couldn't remember who it was. I was thinking it was Gary, maybe, or somebody. I couldn't remember who it was. But man, I love it. That's such a great idea, brother. I'm trying to think. I mean, beer. It's not that I don't not like it. It's just that I have my druthers. I'd rather drink something else, um, but something that I would consider bad. Okay, absinthe. Absinthe. I wasn't a big absinthe, and ouzo wasn't a big ouzo. I don't know. Maybe the absinthe I had wasn't that good, but I'm not a big star anise. Anything with a licorice flavor, I don't like. I don't like any of the ouzo, and there's something else that's similar to ouzo that has the star anise in it. I don't like those. That's the only thing I can think of liquor wise that I don't like. Schnapps I like. I mean, just all the brandies. I just can't think of anything that I don't like other than things with star of anise and licoricey kind of stuff. And gin, yeah, I liked gin until it came out of my nose one time when I got sick, and it was just, I got really, really sick on it. Let's just say that. It was coming through every pore of my body, every orifice, man. It was just horrible. And I went for a long time without the gin, but I don't mind the juniper like I do the star of anise. But I think that if I were to drink a lot of gin, I would prefer some of the more floral. Oh, I used to love me some Jaeger. Um, but I think I prefer more of the citrus or floral gins as opposed to the heavy juniper gins. Yeah, we used to drink a lot of Jagermeister, Meifter, good stuff. Yeah, yes, man. Yeah, we used to put it away, man. I like those boxes and this little nice little shot glasses that came with it. Yeah, we drink a lot of Jager. That was in my very wild days, though. Jager glass, yeah, yeah. Everybody used to drink those slow gin fizz. That was a big thing. The slow gin fizz. Bombay. I don't think what we drink. Tangeray. We'd drink a lot of Tangeray. That was our gin of choice. Yeah, I think making apple pie. If you add maybe some oats to the mash, or I guess it's a must, might help make it a little creamy and soft and give you that pie shell flavor that you're looking for as opposed to the vanilla. Yeah, yeah. The Yager did have the cold medicine flavor taste about it's made with a lot of spices. Let me see what's in Jagermeister. Oh, Google wants to know my location. I bet you do. Okay, Jagermeister is a closely guarded proprietary blend of 56 different herbs, roots, fruits, and spices from all over the world. I knew it had a lot in it. Oh my God, it does. It has star anise in there. So I never really got that from it when I was drinking it. But cinnamon, star anise, ginger root, coriander, clove, saffron. Saffron, that's expensive stuff. ginseng, sandalwood, licorice. Another thing I don't like. Citrus peel, bitter orange, juniper berries, and blueberries. But there's 56. So there's a lot of other stuff. Interesting. A lot of the ingredients are steeped in alcohol. For 2 or 3 days before they're even used. That's interesting. Botanical extracts then aged in oak barrels for about a year before being blended with sugar, caramel, and pure alcohol to achieve its distinct 35% 70 proof sweet, bittersweet taste. Interesting. So that's definitely a different process. Cool. Yeah, that's about right. Yep, that's it, bro. Man, I thought that's such an awesome idea, Frank. I love it. I'm definitely. Where'd you get yours at, Frank? It wasn't. It wasn't Amazon, was it? The triple chase, where we drink one single alcohol, chase it with a different alcohol, so you have 3 different shots. I did a lot of beer and whiskey. Drink a lot of whiskey and chase it with beer and a lot of combinations. But I also used to do these B52s that have like vodka, Bailey's, and then Kahlua. Or no, vodka, Kahlua, and Bailey's on top. And those were pretty good three part drinks. Yeah, man. I'll post that. Hold on a second. Let me see here. I have to go to Facebook. Give me just a second. Man, what is? Oh, that's on my Facebook. It's Messenger. Never mind. Yeah, I thought I was gonna be able to. Where'd you get that, Frank? That ass shaver. You don't want no dingleberry shine? Tell you what, the green apple Jolly Ranchers mixed with shine is pretty damn good. Just post flavored with a bunch of them. Pour it through the coffee filter to get the floaties out. You got to shake it up for several days because it's slow to dissolve in about 100 proof. And green apple, Jolly Ranchers, shake them up. And after a few days, you still get some floaties in there. Pour it through the coffee filter, man. Or I don't care about the floaties. That doesn't bother me. You can drink them. It's in the candy that you eat. But, man, it's good. I like it. No, what's in that? The bubble stones are fine. Don't use the ones that are like a white sandy material because those have like a some kind of glue or I don't know what kind of compound it is. It's like an epoxy or a glue to hold all those together that will dissolve in your liquor. You don't want to use those. Use the stainless. If you're going to use a bubble stone, everybody use a stainless steel a bubble stone. Do not use the ones from the aquarium at all in your liquor ever, ever, ever. It has epoxies and stuff that will dissolve into your liquor, and it is definitely not good for you. That aside, having those to help aerate and speed up the process of aeration after you've distilled, leaving it open. A lot of people leave the jar open for 12, 24, 48 hours, depending on, to allow some of the higher volatiles to evaporate off, which is fine. And using the stainless steel bubblers that you use in the fish tank, help speed that process up. So you don't have to wait 2 days. You can do it in a few, 6, 8 hours, right? Which is okay. As far as charcoal, it's okay if you're one of those that run. If you're running to where you mix low heads, hearts, and get it well into your tails. When you start collecting tails, if you're going to use those for blending, and you're not going to rerun them, and you're going to use them for blending, I definitely would use some charcoal on your tails to help get some of those fuse oils and filter some of that out. And I'd recommend a pretty decent bed of some good coals, but it's good for removal of fusel oils, but it'll also will remove some of your flavors. So I wouldn't put it in there until I got to the tails and let it run your tails through it. Demo berries. Dingy berries. I'll let you say dingle. That's funny. I use bitters in some of my mixed drink. I'm trying to think of. I use. Trying to think of the name of them. But I have a lot of different things in there that are good and I bartended for a while when I was in school. Oh man, Jaeger, Rumpelmints, and Goldschlager. Well, I've had all. I didn't do a lot of Goldschlager because I was always, man, I don't want those flakes of gold sitting on my liver because your body isn't going to process the acids in your stomach's not getting rid of that gold flake. So hopefully, you shat them out. But man, I always was concerned about that. It's probably just, I shouldn't have been, maybe, I don't know, but I was always weary of that. So I never drank a lot of that after I thought about it. But I drank a shit of Rumpelmints, man. I love that shit. And Jaeger quite a bit, but Rumpelmints, yeah, I drank quite a bit of that schnapps. It's pretty good shit. Shadows in the Hizzle. All right, let's have a shot. Let's drink some peach. I gotta save it. I gotta save the rest of that. Put it on some wood. Kahlua, Bailey's, and Grand Marnier. Interesting. Very interesting. I might have to Google that. Highly concentrated aromatic flavoring made from herbs and spices, essential for classic cocktails like old fashions, right? I don't know if that's the one. Let me see. Perk my curiosity. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go see what bitters I've got in there. Girls on? Humbag. Yeah, mine was not that kind. Where do you get those? Where you get those bitters? Grenadine too. That's another one I saw that over at Wisebaker. And this peach, Olive Nation peach it's good, but it's not good added to the masher. It's not that great for infusion, but it's good post for a peach flavor. I tried to use it for an infusion. I'd used mostly Tarani and what's the other one? Tarani and the other common one. I never can remember that other one. I use them both. Tarani probably I get the most of, but they're pretty good. But this Olive Nation was recommended to me, and I infused with it, and it carried forward an interesting sweetness, but it just didn't carry a lot of peach forward with it. Bailey's in that order. Yeah, like the stack drinks and had different colors. It was tough as a bartender to make those because you wanted it in distinct layers and you had to go real slow and everything's pretty high, fast speed when you're trying to bartend and stuff. So it's hard to get that proper pour of those without them blending in with each other. So you like the sipping creams? For me, I think Bailey's cream was about the Kahlua cream was about the only really creamies I could do, and I probably got sick drinking some of those B52s because I've never really been fond of just the thought of cream, but the cream liquors and cream ales, I've never been a big fan of them. I do have a bit of a lactose intolerance issue, so that would probably had something to do with it as well. But I mean, I wouldn't mind them. Just I've had some, and just for a little sip, or for a drink, it'd be fine. But it's not something I'm going to sit and get hammered on. I just know I'd be sick as hell. Yeah. Don't use briquettes. Yeah. Good point. Yeah, use oak. Get you some good hardwood or oak. I prefer oak for pretty much everything. Um, yeah, and you can use the charcoal that's made from a lot. Most of the charcoal that we get, activated charcoal that we get, is made from coconut husks, and that's good too. It's fine to use, but definitely not charcoal briquettes. Yeah, that's a bad decision, man. I know Wes, me, drank some pretty high proof and we like it, but it's hard on your body. It's just, you can drink twice as much 100 proof as 150, and it's just too hard on your liver. It's too hard on your body. I don't do it anymore. Body requires gold, but in small amounts. I guess in micronutrients. But yeah, I just don't know how well my liver and stuff process that, and how my body would flush it out. I don't remember seeing any of my pee or poo, so it had to stay somewhere, man. I don't know. I was very weary of it. Spearmint or peppermint, both would be pretty interesting. I have made some Santa shine where I took candy canes and dissolved them up into some shine and then ran it through a coffee filter, and that was real good. It was. So I'm sure but that was post. Yeah, it was. It's called the Santa shine, and it's good. It is really good. It was real good. Interesting though. I've never seen that bitter before. Where do you get that at? I don't see it on my store on my shelves. Total Wine Webster. I don't even see it on Amazon. Let's see, maybe no Webster and Total Wines. So you can get it at Total Wines. So I too putting it on Amazon, man. I'm gonna make you jump through hoops to get it, or what? Let me see here. Let me go directly to Amazon. I guess I'm looking on. Where's there? It is. Amazon. Yeah, I buy a lot of shit on Amazon, man. I love it. Very convenient. Yeah, they got them. $33 a bottle. Maybe that's why I never bought them. 16 ounce for $33, man. Damn. Here's a 4 ounce bottle for 26. They're definitely proud of it. Must be pretty good. For mixologists. 100% vegan, kosher certified, sodium and gluten free. Very interesting. They also have several different flavors for different types of bitters. Let's open up this 3-piece here and see what it says. Oh, I'm sorry. That's just 3 different kinds of bitters. Okay. I thought that was the same people. Interesting. Yeah, I've not had those. Now I know why. I probably just the price sticker shock probably got me. I think mine's Watkins. I think is what I had over there. From Trinidad Tobago. Okay. Did you? That's cool. Trinidad and Tobago. Interesting. Mike's full of all kinds of trivia. No, I was not aware of that. I thought it was just like the peppermint plant and spearmint peppermint plant. No, my grandmother used to grow peppermint. We had a big old peppermint plant. She'd use it as spice, all the time. Say, go out there and give me a pinch off that peppermint plant. And spearmint. It doesn't. Why in the hell they calling it cream then? What's going on, Jimmy? Good to see you, brother. Just chilling, my friend. What are you up to? You still recovering from Beattyville? Had a good time, man. Good seeing you up there, brother. Frozen mangoes, that's good. 10-pound bag, add it to my mash, made whiskey corn with it's pretty good. Cool. Yeah, there's no rules. Everybody wants to know it. Can you do this? Try it. It's because I'm sure it's been done. Everybody's wanting to create something unique and it's never been done. And I mean, I guess you could, maybe do 20 different fruits and say, okay, nobody's ever done this many fruits all together. And they might be right. But, a lot of people trying to find unique, fruits and vegetables out there that's not been run. And I'd say, the thousands of years that they've been, making mashes, beers, and wines. And, I'd say it's all been tried, unless it's something new that's just been created or discovered. I'd say even stuff we're just discovering has been tried. So it's going to be really tough to come up with something new. But you can make it your own twist on it. It doesn't have to. You don't have to be the first one to do it. Just make it your own, make it unique, and make your own recipes. Use that hydrometer and create your own. Make your own creations and different combinations. Now, combinations of things you will be unique because I'm sure every combination of everything hasn't been tried. But I would say every fruit, vegetable, flour, anything that's edible, it's been added. Hazelnut, yeah, yeah, I like hazelnuts too. I like aging on nuts. They talk about Santa's nuts being dangled in there, steeped in Santa's nuts is basically. I like putting walnuts and pecans and stuff and aging it on that. Gives it a softness and nuttiness. I like it. Some people don't like it. I did some of my grappa. I experimented with a little bit of my grappa on some walnuts. And some people liked it and some people didn't. I don't think Wes liked it. Most people did, but it did change the flavor a little bit. And I think it might have been too much. I agree with Wes. It may have changed the character and that sweetness. I think it kind of took a little bit away from it. I think sometimes you can get too much, right? Get too much going on, and it's just, you know, kind of olfactory overload. You smell it, and it's like you're getting so many different things. It's just, palate overload. You just so much on your palate at once. It's just kind of too much to pick out layers. Yeah, Donnie and Teresa's awesome, man. Great people. Yeah, they are. And that's a good festival, man. It's a good laid back festival. Good time for sure. Very good people, man. I'll definitely be there every year. Yeah, I like Donnie a lot. He's a good guy, man. I hated to hear he got that alpha gal though. It's still got him fucked up. Lost 65 pounds, man. He thinned up a lot in his face and he lost 65 pounds. He was a lot thinner. And that kind of reminded me when I got that fish sting. How I could eat was chicken and potatoes, broiled chicken and baked potato with nothing. And I lost a bunch. I was way down from where I'm at now. I was 100 down from where I'm at right now. And everybody said, "Oh, you look great." And I'm like, "Well, I kind of look great because I feel like shit." But I kind of got that vibe from him when we were talking. Man, he's still not able to eat a lot of meat and stuff. For those that don't know, there's a Lone Star tick out there that when it bites you, it can give you a reaction that will create a allergic reaction to meats when you eat them. So it makes you basically allergic to meats and the proteins of meats and stuff. The way it, and so it makes you deathly ill every time you try to eat meat or pork or anything. And so unless of course you're eating beaver, and I think it won't hurt if you're eating beaver, but yeah, it's so he's not able to eat any meat, and hadn't been for a while. That would, man, I'd hate thought of that for me. That'd be a biggie. I have to have meat with every meal, That'd hurt me, but that'd probably be good for me, but I wouldn't be happy. Beavers, it's a little bit greasy and gamey, man. I don't know, Clint. You really like it? For me, when I ate it, man, it was awful greasy and gamey and dark. If you're talking about groundhog too, not real good. Alpha gal syndrome, yeah. From the Lone Star tick, yeah, it's bad. John said he's out. Where did he say that? I didn't even see John saying. Oh, here it is. About his bedtime. Did you have your gummies? No, he wouldn't have made it for this late. What time is it? Oh, a little after 10. All right, JJ. Good to see you, brother. Lone Star tick, yeah. I think they got that name because there's maybe like a star on their back or something. Tell you, man, if you got a lot of them out there, just get some guineas and some chickens, let them free range, and they'll eat every damn tick around. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're talking about. But I have eaten beaver meat and groundhog. About like a damn squirrel. I don't know. Groundhog wasn't as gamey as squirrel. Rabbit's real good though. I love rabbit. Right. So if you get something that's been genetically altered like that, you could be the first to do it. That's what I was thinking. If you create something new or find something that's maybe from some jungle that's never been tried, you might make something new and unique. Yeah. And they're changing the name of it. So there's a GMO for genetically modified, and then there's a GE for genetically engineered organ. So in the future, a lot of bottling and they're going to be required to label it. So genetic modification is simply can be something like corn that was selectively grown and um, a natural selection. So you just get the best and you don't use the rest, and that way every year it kind of increases and gets better and larger. So that's a little bit different than actually genetically modifying something. So that's what we perceive as genetic modification nowadays is going to be called genetic engineering when they actually go in and start changing some of the genetic makeup of things and start genes splicing. That's going to be called genetic engineering. Is it? What dot? Yeah, it's something definitely it's don't know where they came from. It's not something I don't know how long they've been around. Maybe we should do we talk about it. And there's other diseases that you can get from them as well. But allergy to red meat. So I guess you eat chicken. Okay, well that guess it's something to do with the proteins or somehow. Rise of the Lone Star tick. Yeah, must be a female. It's got a white spot. Weird looking tick. So they've got a pretty large spread too. So this dude walks along the trail. I guess he pretty much uses rubber bands around his pant legs and everything else. It's a good idea. I can't stand the thought of it because ticks have always loved me. We were at a party years ago, 4th of July. Man, this has been 25 years ago. Anyway, buddy had it. He's no longer with us, but had a big party every 4th of July, Memorial, Independence Day, and but big crowd there. And me and my ex were there and kind of hanging out. He had maybe 5 acres around him. And we'd go out and party. We shoot off fireworks, get drunk. Man, it was wild parties, yeah. And dude's a biker. And we hang out, man. Somebody said, "Oh my God." They looked at me and pointed, man. I swear to God, there must have been like 30 ticks on my pants. I had on khakis, on my pants and on my shirt. I had a light blue shirt on. It was on my pants, on my shirt, all over me, man. And everybody started checking themselves and their kids and everything. And I think one other kid had some ticks on him, but nobody. Out of that whole crowd, there must have been 60 plus people there, big group. And I was the tick master, man. Was covered in those damn things. I don't know why, man. I guess they just smell something on you. So just the thought of that, man, just scares shit out of me. But I'll still go in the woods and hunt. But I'm definitely going to be putting rubber bands around my pant legs and making sure I get checked over well. I just wondered. I haven't heard that much about them in the past, though. Now, and is this disease, something that they've recently just changed, or has this been around forever? This dude drags around, walks through the woods with this Muslim cloth, and they just attach to it. Attached to a PVC pole on the ground and just walks through all these places. And it looks like there's a lot of bamboo there too, so I'm not sure where the hell he's at. But yeah, this Muslim cloth's covered in them, man. That's New Jersey. I didn't know they had a lot of bamboo up there. There's some bamboo behind this dude. I don't know. Maybe might be some cane. I don't know. Been expanding from Florida to Maine as far west as Nebraska. So it hasn't spread all the way out west yet, but first appeared in (1980s). The bacteria disease, which first appeared in the mid 1980s, a meat allergy. And the emerging bourbon virus, first identified in humans around 10 years ago. From Bourbon County, Kansas. Man died after being bitten. So it's kind of, they've been around forever, but I don't know, maybe they're just developing different things, maybe, or maybe this was never diagnosed properly in the past. I don't know. Until the 1800s, yeah. Huh, interesting. So in the 1800s, when they did a lot of timbering in the Northeast, which was basically where they originated, they took out a lot of their habitat, and they've been moving further south. Interesting. The black-legged species that transmits Lyme. Now it's expanding north. Maybe they're talking about different varieties here. This is kind of confusing. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy. But I feel sorry for him, man. He's a good dude. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah, to each their own. You know, I mean, if some people can't eat it, some people just don't like it. That's why there's more than one thing on the shelf at the store. If everybody liked the same thing, it'd be pretty boring. It'd be a lot of just one liquor at the store on the shelf, you know, one flavor of pop. Really? Wow. And I've heard some conspiracy theorists out there saying that they're spreading this disease, that they're placing boxes of ticks. And what's going on, Gary? That they're placing boxes of ticks in places and spreading this so people will be eating less. I don't buy into all that. I think a lot of people just come up with some of this stuff just to, I don't know. I don't know. There's something about the blood chemistry that does attract them. But yeah, I was covered in them. I have never figured out. I guess and mosquitoes love me too. Yeah, but I don't have diabetes. Possums, yeah, possum and guineas. Guineas, I think, will eat more ticks than a possum. Man, those guineas will run around and they got like eagle eyes. Man, they can see them in the ground. They just peck all day. Man, they'll clean all your ticks up for you if you have enough guineas running around. Yeah, I leave my possums alone. I got them around here, which is good. They clingers. You have to physically contact them, and they just cling. I think they probably have like hooks in their little legs, and they just anything that drags across them, they just hook right onto, latch on. Do ducks? They probably will. I'd say most birds will, but man, those free range chickens and guineas, man, they go to town on them. If you know somebody owns a bunch of guineas running around, you're not seeing no ticks on their animals. Oh my God. Oh, Mike, man, you never amazed me with some of this. So they start with the bunghole and eat. Man, that's crazy. I'll never look at a possum the same way. What's going on, Gary? And we don't usually sit and talk about possums eating ass, but this is crazy. Yeah, we got started talking about Lone Star ticks. Buddy of mine puts an annual moonshine festival on and Appalachian festival on, and he got bit by one of these Lone Star ticks and has this alpha gal syndrome. And we've been talking about that. You have? I've heard it, but I don't. Man, I tell you what, if I caught somebody doing that, I don't know, man. Yeah, if you get enough chickens or guineas running around, man, you won't have to deal with ticks. I don't know. I guess maybe fleas. I don't know as much about the flea aspect, but they'll eat every tick in sight, man. They will clean your ticks up. Those guineas are some tick eating. They love them. That's one of the most favorite thing in the world to eat, I guess. Unlike the possum, I'll never be able to get that out of my mind now. Thanks, Mikey. I'll never look at a possum the same. I see a big cow ass. All right. Well, it's getting about that time. We've been on here about 2.5 hours. We talking about ticks and possum eating ass. All right, everybody. Well, don't forget to like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And definitely join us on DIY Shine and Steel Building on Facebook or the Moonshine Militia. And a lot of the charts and stuff I post on here is definitely found in there. And we answer a lot of questions in there and have a lot of people there that are they're very knowledgeable, can also help answer questions. And I'm not knocking other Facebook groups, but I'm and most of them are great, but there's some out there that I do see a lot of misinformation, and I don't want to come across as a know-it-all. So a lot of times I won't say anything, but I do see a lot of and I'm not going to knock the person and say you're wrong. It's just not that is they've been misinformed. So somebody else told them something that was wrong, and somebody else told that person, and that's just how the misinformation moves along. And there's a lot of opinions in distilling, and of course in flavors and what you like and what you don't like, and I don't really deal that much in opinions as far as right and wrong. There's no right and wrong to an opinion, but there's a lot of factual stuff in this, and there's a lot of misinformation in a lot of the groups. So if it, definitely try to find your way to a better group if you are in one of those groups, and I'm not going to call them out by name. um, but there's a lot of misinformation, and there's a lot of great information in a lot of them too. So, and I'm glad that they have some knowledgeable people there that are calling people out on it, but I'm not going to do that anymore. I did a little bit in the past, and I don't want to come across as an asshole. I just want to make sure that people learn the facts right, especially when it comes to something facts, and definitely when it comes to something that's a safety issue. So But yeah, everybody have a great Memorial Day weekend. Be safe if you're traveling. Going to be a lot of people on the roads this weekend. And be careful handing any of them fireworks. We want y'all back here Tuesday with all your fingers still intact. So have a great weekend, everybody. And try to visit with some family and friends and make it a good one and a memorable one. And we will see you all Tuesday at 8. Till then, shine on, peace out. Love y'all. Have a great weekend.